I think a lot of the goals that we set start with the mind and where your mind is, right? And I think it's very important for people whenever you are stepping into a new season in your life, you need to kind of get your mind there first, right? You need to start imagining, and people talk about manifesting. I always talk about manifesting a lot. People need to talk about, getting your mind there first before you actually see it. But a lot of people have walked into this year feeling a little bit despondent, right? Which is understandable. 2023 was a movie and a half, but I really want to leave this year, that year, and that year. But we kind of need to get our mind working now because it's already the second, and people are going back on the third, the fourth, the fifth. So it's important for us to get back into it.
I think most of them will be back probably next week in full force. I think this week we'll just get the drips and drops, but next week it will be like a full force.
Absolutely. So we need to get our mind right, but let's get it from the man himself, Jabu Zwane. He's an entrepreneur, keynote speaker, executive coach, and facilitator in leadership, effective communication, emotional intelligence, entrepreneurship, self-mastery, mindset, diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's very important to have this conversation, and I'm really, really honored to see your face again.
Yeah.
I'm very happy to see you again, man. The last time I went to your event, still to this day, changed my life. I used every single tip at that event. It was
awesome.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us today.
It's my pleasure. Thanks, guys, for having me. I really, really appreciate it.
So how do we start the year? I think that it's a question that I think people now are stepping into reality. Some are flying back from where they were. Some are driving back from where they were. How should one start the year?
With intention. Without a plan, honestly, 2024 is gonna walk past you like blink of an eye. I don't know. I really get a strong sense that 2024 is gonna be a tough year.
Wow. Okay. We need to wait a minute.
Because for me, I mean, it's after COVID-19, there was a little bit of a dip.
Yeah.
And then people were sort of like they had to reset their minds.
Yeah.
And if you've paid attention, you'd notice that most people are not the same as what they were before COVID-19.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's true, absolutely.
And we talk about like those 2 years, a lot of people have become a lot more independent, a lot more intent on being themselves. And what that basically means is that if you are still a very generalist person, you're going to struggle.
Yeah.
Partly because of all the complications happening right now in the world, whether it be the war, whether it be the current economic situation in South Africa, whether it be the political instability in the USA and many parts of the world. There's a lot of chaos going on around the world. And honestly, if you are not somebody that has no intention, that has no plan, that doesn't have their ducks in a row, you're going to struggle.
But I mean, what are those? Because what are your predictions? Because I think I would like us to exactly, because for me, when you say 2024 and it's gonna be a very tough year, what are your predictions?
The big one is going to be the technological advancements. The fact that AI is escalating at the rate that it is at the moment. A lot of people are going to be losing their jobs. I mean, they are predicting, of course, that probably this year we're going to be doing away with graphic designers, web designers. If you're talking about even this particular business that we're in of radio, I mean, to think about all the advancements that have been made in terms of voiceovers.
Yes.
Like the apps now that are able to capture my voice.
Yes, I've seen. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of changes that are happening. And if you don't upskill, if you don't reskill, if you don't adjust your skills to what's going to be happening in your particular industry, you may quickly find yourself out of a job. But on top of that, the globalization has basically meant that somebody from India can take my job as a call center agent here in South Africa. Similarly, as I can take a job of somebody in India sitting in South Africa. So quite a lot of jobs also have been globalized, which means that as far as the market reach, it won't just be, let's look within the local context as well. Only. It means that now we have an opportunity to look globally. If you look at someone like myself, I mean, I get an opportunity to be called up to go do training in other parts of the world. That basically means that people that are in those countries are not getting that job. Similarly, also the people that are coming into this country doing the kind of work that I do, which means I'm not getting those jobs. So there is a need to have intention, to have got a plan, and I would very strongly say there's a need for every individual to globalize themselves, to really become globally relevant. Amazon is coming right now into South Africa.
Well, it's already.
It's already
first gen,
But think about the amount of skill that is available in the country as well. It's not just the local South Africans that are benefiting from that.
Yes.
If you go into Cape Town is a very international environment. So if you're a local person there, and you're not, for example, very good in terms of communication, very good in terms of customer service,
Yeah.
you might find yourself, even though the opportunity is ready for you as a local person, you might find yourself not being able to get that job.
Because I see even Starlink is also exactly coming in Africa. Actually, it's already here in Swaziland. It's there already. We're just waiting for it. So there's a whole lot of things that I'm agreeing with you. And also, I was telling Ntsako the other day that with Amazon coming in, they also have got their own satellite. You know, so that's going to be interesting. And I mean, she was talking about, you know, the opportunities that are exactly there.
I just feel though, you know, coming back to we had a conversation yesterday about civil education and how, you know, young people need to be, you know, enriched with civil education. And I kind of threw it back at them and I said, yeah, but also political parties also need to be enriched with civil education. And I'm realizing that a lot of the things have to do with where we are, like our mindset. And I think I'm starting to, you know, the more I'm listening to you, I'm getting a little bit more concerned about, you know, the positivity that is happening, right? Positivity is a very good thing. I think we need a little bit of optimism, but I think it needs to be coupled with a little bit of realism, right? So how do you plan for the year? I was sharing the other day that I've taken a 30-day strategy with my plans. So I know that they are the grand plans that I want to achieve, but the more action-based, you know, itinerary for my month, you know, I have it on my phone to know that, okay, this is what I need to do on this day and this day and this day and this day, because I know that I can control the next 30 days. Like you have an idea of where things are going to go and what's happening in your life. You know, but there are people that are literally walking into this blindly. You know, and how do you plan for a year that looks like this? And already we have about 64 countries in Africa going into elections, so already the political macro environment is not looking so great.
Looking good.
Yeah, so how do you plan for a year like that?
I mean, the first thing is that you have to have some kind of a goal. And one of the ways that you can achieve a goal is that look at your situation and say, how much money, for example, do I need? I mean, I did 3 videos last week that went completely crazy online, simply because I was showing South Africans in terms of what's available money-wise in the country. I'm not talking about the money that's available in terms of business, macro, and all the money that the politicians are, you know, eating. I'm talking about money that the citizens have access to in terms of salaries predominantly, and also in terms of entrepreneurship. South Africa apparently top 10% earners in this country. You only need 780,000 rand a year. That's low.
That is completely low.
That is very, very low.
That's dangerously low.
The middle class income in South Africa is about 300,000 rand. That's 25,000 rand a month.
Yeah.
If you're looking at your household income, it like, you know, without adding any additional anything, you literally have absolutely nothing available. So we are actually going to the same place where America is at, where people have multiple jobs. When you go to the USA, they got 2-3 different jobs. You know what I mean? Because first of all, things are super expensive. To survive, even in a place like the USA and even in the UK, people have to rely a lot on debt. You know, and unfortunately with us, we don't have a big enough population that can be given access to debt in that way because of the history of our country, which basically means that even the very small group of people that have access to debt, they're over indebted up to 80%. For every 100 rand that South African earns, 80 rands of that money goes towards debt. You know what I mean? And I'm not talking about debt. I'm not talking about your regular liabilities like lights and electricity and school fees and
paying back something that you borrowed.
You're paying back something that you have borrowed.
Like a loan,
And so part of it is that have a plan and then ask yourself, what kind of skills can I learn now quickly, especially with all the skills that are available online for free? What kind of skills can I learn right now that can be able to generate an income for me? In my particular space, one of the things that I constantly have to improve on is my communication skills. If I don't keep up in terms of my communication, in terms of what draws people's attention, guess what? I'm out of work. Right? I'm out of, just like that, I'm out of work. And it's a highly competitive space because at any given moment, somebody can go online, you can become an influencer and have 1 million followers. The next thing you know, they're not calling Jabu Zwane anymore. Now they're calling some other person that wasn't known 2 months ago, right? Take a Skomota. You know, how much work is that, young man?
Share as well.
It shares,
I mean, it's just become like an an influencer, you know, and you kind of wonder, and you're right. It's easy for it to shift to shift quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just wanted to ask you what is the difference between a life coach as well as a motivational speaker? I mean, if I'm going through a life coach, do I have to come and consult a motivational speaker?
They're two different functions. A life coach is somebody that is probably accredited in some kind of certification, and they will look at your life holistically. They look at your personal life, they look at things about like your traumas, they can look at things like your personality, they look at things like your skills, they may even include a career path, and then they'll set up some kind of a map, a roadmap, that's a journey that you're going to follow together, and they'll show you steps by steps in terms of what you need to do to get to where you're going. Say you want to earn R1 million.
Yeah.
A life coach will say to you, okay, if you want to earn R1 million, let's break it down into months. Let's break it down into days. Let's break it down to what you've mentioned now, Ntsako, which is every day, what do I have to do to ensure that I am working towards my goal? So a life coach has got practical steps that they will take you to guide you through the complexity that you're facing, you know, with your goals. A motivational speaker, on the other hand, is somebody, it's like a petrol in a car. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They will just energize you a little bit, but at some point that energy dies down.
Okay.
And when that energy dies down, you need some inspiration. And inspiration has more to do with the fact that you want this for yourself. And maybe something, whether it be somebody that inspires you, whether it be a goal that inspires you. And also motivation requires, it doesn't have necessarily, it may give you an aspiration, like in other words, a goal to work towards. But it won't necessarily get you there. To get to achieving what you aspire to achieve, you need practical steps. And that's where in other words, a motivator can ignite you and make you aware of a life coach. And then a life coach is the vehicle that'll get you to your goals.
But I mean, can you consult both? I mean, at the end of the day, or you only once I see a motivational speaker, I don't need to go and see a life coach.
A motivational speaker it's a thing that you hear once. It doesn't necessarily. It's not. I'm not going to necessarily give you steps on how to do that. Even if they give you steps, then I show you how to do those steps.
Okay.
I can say to you, for example, these are the 3 crucial skills. Like I did a video that I on TikTok. These are the 3 crucial skills that you need for 2024 to succeed. You need to be an effective communicator. You need to be a networker. You need to also be savvy when it comes to technology. And if you don't do any of those things, you're going to fall behind in 2024. And you sit there thinking, my goodness, I don't want to fall behind. I need to get the skills. How do I get these skills? That's motivation.
I think for me, I just want to revert to your conversation about communication, right? Because I'm in comms as well. And I think I've taken a step back, a conscious step back, because I am looking at what's currently happening right now. And I'm not concerned, but I think I'm still studying how I feel about it now. But it's almost like there's just this. It's almost like we're walking around and there's just these booby traps that could just explode at some point. Because I'm wondering what actually people want currently, right? And that's why I'm even monitoring, what's happening on social media and, what the year is going to look like. So when you came in and you said that, this year might be a bit of a challenge, I think it goes without saying that in life generally, that's what we expect. I don't think we expect life to be, smooth. But now when you actually unpack it and you realize that, okay, because of the political climate, that might also affect investments, right? And it might also affect travel and the international relations, between the different countries, because right now everyone is just trying to, put themselves or their best foot forward. How do businesses now position themselves for that environment? Because, for example, when I think about the business that I'm stepping into, I'm thinking, okay, this is a global business and I'm bringing it here. How is that going to work? You're trying to, but you take that risk anyway, because I think entrepreneurship affords us that opportunity to just, you jump in, but it's a calculated risk, right? So you kind of wondering, okay, what do the people want? Do people want a facade? And this is the reality that in business, you sell a good story. It's really the best story sells, the most copies. Do people want a facade, or do people want something that looks good or is good? Do they want something that's sustainable? Because we're also used to social media giving us the quick results. You know what I mean? So you're almost asking yourself, okay, what do the people want? How does your business survive such a climate?
They want all of it. No, I'm serious. They do. And then it's about being able to strike a balance that works for you. It's a fact that people don't have as long attention span as what they used to because of how much intellectually they're stretched. There are a lot of things that are vying for people's minds and attention. Just driving down the streets, you can see from the billboards to your phone to the radio, there's a lot of things that are vying for your intellectual attention, but most importantly, they're vying for your pocket, right? And the one that is more emotive, the one that can move you more emotionally, is more likely that's what's going to drive you to make that particular decision. So that's where storytelling comes in. And that's why I keep on saying to people, look, if your story doesn't matter until you matter. And there's a way, you have to find a way to make your story matter. And your story matters the moment you start to derive value for others from your story. Not about you just talking about, oh my goodness, I'm so poor, I grew up hard, look at me. Okay, fine. We're tired of feeling sorry for you. Now what? You know what I mean? Because feeling sorry for you is draining. You're taking emotional capital from us and I'm going to invest it in you. We don't have time for that. Now tell me how I can invest the emotional capital that you've derived out of me by feeling sorry for you. Do I channel that into money? Is there a product that I can buy from you? Is there a book that I can read? Is there somebody that I can recommend you to, that I can connect you to so you can find the job? So you got to make your story matter. If your story doesn't matter, then we have there's no need for you and I continue even having conversation. So all of those things, all of them work. 4 things. There's the issue of relationships. People will make decisions based on relationships. That's why the networking is crucial, right? They say this all the time. People buy from people that they like, trust, and respect. So how do you create that in terms of putting forward your business? How do you become likable? One of the ways that I do as a black person, believe it or not, is this accent.
They call that, I'm not even gonna lie to you, I relate 150% because we call that code switching. Because the way we're speaking now on it, when the mics go off, you will hear what I really sound like.
And I understand that in the marketplace, there's a certain sound that the market is used to. The more you deviate from that sound, the more you can create curiosity, but make sure that curiosity doesn't become an issue of mistrust or suspicion of some sort. And so I work all the time on that because I understand that that's what's needed. The second thing is about your position of power. Your position. What's your position? How do you describe a position? I call myself a mindset development specialist. Immediately when you hear that, it creates curiosity, but also gives you an indication of what this guy does, right? The third thing is about your performance. Fine. Once you've created the fuss, once you've created the promotion, and everybody now brings you in to come and deliver, do you deliver the goods? Because ultimately we're going to judge you based on the performance. And if you don't deliver, then you're going to be known as that person that is overselling themselves. Right? And then the last thing is about your credentials, your credibility. What is it that you have done formally that we can objectively measure to validate that you can do what you say you can do? If you say you're a doctor, if you've got a PhD, then we don't end up with a situation like we did with Dr. Matthew, right? We got to be able to measure for sure that you say you can do what you can do. So those are the 4 crucial things. And those 4 crucial things, relationships, they work very well with stories. If I can bring up my story and people say, I can see you talking about me, oh my goodness, you just explained my life in 1 minute, that kind of thing, then you're winning. And I would say to every single business out there, if you are in the marketplace, you need to find a way to bring out your story, but also you need to find a way to ensure that people can relate to you, whoever is your front person for the product that you're selling.
I wish we had time.
We still do. We still do.
Gee whiz.
We still do.
I've got, you know, it's not even questions as per se, it's just a discussion because for me, you know, when you mentioned that code switching, I thought I was crazy for this. And my friends laugh at me about it all the time because I speak like this, right? And I use these big fancy words. And then you meet Ntsako and roast back.
But also it's the industry in terms of where you are working, you know? As long as, and I agree with what Jabu is saying, as long as it's not that bad. Because the thing is that there are some people that they really overdo it. And once you overdo it, that's where I have an issue as well. As long as it's okay. As long as
No,
it's
I mean
okay.
it's more or less the same, but it's not even that. I think it's just about you being a chameleon. I don't even think it's about your voice as per se. It's you. It's adapting, and it's you molding yourself to the environment that you're in. I don't think you'd wear a jacket to the beach, right? And nor would you wear a bikini to the Antarctica. Like, I mean, look, people have their preferences, but it's you just have to, and especially in this day and age. I mean, this is exactly what I was saying yesterday, and I don't want to get too political about this, but this is what I was saying about our president currently, right? Is that we can say all of those things, but his way and his manner of adapting to every environment for me, I'm sorry, like he really kills it. Like,
he gets it. He gets it.
Gets
He
it.
gets
You know,
it. Yeah, he
we
gets
have
it.
our own opinions about it, but that little
He
element
gets it.
is so important. It is almost 4 p.m. Central African time, and we're going to cross over to the news. I'm going to walk into the third and final hour of the show, but we hopefully, and I'm going to say this with the risk, still have Jabu in the studio.
Yeah, no, we do. We'll
Great
continue.
stuff.
We'll continue after 4.
Amazing stuff, and we're going to continue the conversation. Please send through your questions at Channel Africa 1 on social media. It's time for Unositla Zuma to give us the news. A lot of people define success very differently.
Yeah.
There are some people that, like, for example, my sister, she never really speaks about the material stuff in her life. She always says, I just want like a nice little home, a little car, and I'm fine, But, for some of us, it's like, hey, that yours needs to, be in the garage, man. How do you define success for yourself?
For me, success is achieving exactly what gives me the deepest gratification, my most deepest holistic gratification. I'm successful if I see my words heal people, because I believe that I was born to be a healer. So I'm very intentional. Every time I open my mouth, I'm very intentional in terms of the words that I choose, the sentences that I construct, and the points that I bring across, and even in terms of the way that I listen. And that's why I'm in this business that I'm in. I'm very, very careful. I believe I'm a healer. I believe that I'm also an encourager, and I'm also a builder of people. That's so. I'm fascinated to see how far that adventure will take me. I don't want to limit it in terms of money. I don't want to limit it in terms of even material possessions. I want to see if I really fully unleashed myself without censoring myself, without limiting myself, without questioning and doubting myself all the time. How far can I go? I'm fascinated by that. So I look at where I was last year. I look at where I was last month in comparison to where I am today. And I'm constantly measuring my progress. I worry when I don't see any particular progress taking place. Then I start looking around to see what is that I'm not doing that I should be doing today that can help me to have a better future tomorrow. And so for me, it's really one of those things. When I see that I'm able to give my kids what they want, that's gratification for me. When I'm able to help my mother, that's gratification for me. When I'm able to help a friend, that's gratification for me. When you say to me, listen, I'm looking for somebody who can be able to fund me, and I can be able to connect you with somebody that I know and say, hey, I know Ntsako, I know this person, connect them, and then that happens. When those things happen, man, I get the greatest of satisfaction. So I'm constantly looking at how do I improve my ability then to ensure that I'm in that state of gratification all the time.
And I think you spoke about something. How then do you motivate yourself? I know you motivate. I mean, surely sometimes it's normal. You have a bad day, but how do you motivate yourself?
I measure my progress.
Yeah.
I celebrate small wins. I'm very much aware of how big the problems that I in my own life am facing, and how the big problems that everybody's facing. But for me to get to the next step, I've got to take the next step. And part of that is that you need to be able to, I celebrate the small wins. I'll give you a simple example. When I started with a TikTok, for example, I was like, you know what? I want to see how quickly I can get to a certain amount of followers on this thing. I was stagnating. I was stuck at like 2,000. I don't know for how long, But then at some point I saw, okay, after a year, then things start making a little bit of sense. But in terms of my business as well, I wanted to see. I said, for example, last year, okay, I've only had one radio interview when I started last year. I'm like, I want to see by the end of this year how many radio interviews that I can have. By the end of the year, I had more than 25. I had more than 15 different television interviews. I was all over the place, right? And for me, you celebrate those little steps, and then you gotta have those particular goals. But the thing is that as long as you don't have a goal, then you don't have anything to celebrate. Anything you achieve is fine. But here's the thing about it is that if you achieve something that is not connected to a long-term goal, the energy, the motivational energy does not sustain you long enough. Because it is not connected to something long-term. Another thing is that if it is not connected to something beyond you, if it's not bigger than you only have you to worry about. Let's say you make R1 million, but it's just for you. Once you've had the caviar, once you've had the car, and then you go to bed at night by yourself, it's still you. But the moment you get that phone call from somebody that says, listen, you know what, thank you for that 10,000 rand. Thank you for that, for helping me out with this particular thing. That motivational energy sustains you beyond the limitations of your own dissatisfactions.
So in terms of the book, when is it coming? Are there any plans actually about the book? Because I think that would be great, you know. Just to
yes, the book is actually coming out in February.
Okay.
Yeah, it's called Starting Over with Courage.
Okay.
It really captures, it really captures my story and my having to start over and the tragedy that happened in 2016 and having to start over at the age of 39. You know, so pretty much everything that I've built now, business-wise, internationally, it's only in the last 5 years. You know, I've been starting over at 39 with absolutely no way to go.
And, you know, obviously we don't want to, spill the tea on the book as yet. But I think for those who are starting out, those who are really picking up their life, I mean, last year, guys, it really did a number on a lot of us, right?
Yeah.
And we've had to get rid of a lot of things. We'd have to let go of a lot of things. You know, what would you advise someone, especially the courage aspect? You know, some people are starting over, but they're really scared. You know, they're terrified about, what they're doing. They have the plan, they have the goal. But that courage part, how would you encourage them today?
Yeah. Big thing is that reserve the right to change what's not working. That's being an adult. Reserve that right. Take that right. Take control of it. Number 2, deal with your traumas, man. Deal with the dysfunction in your life. Pay attention to what people are telling you doesn't work for them with you. This whole thing that accept me as you are, sometimes the way that you are is hurtful. It's mean, it's rude, it's cruel, it's selfish, it's inconsiderate, it lacks compassion. Attend to the things that stand in your way of you achieving the things that you're supposed to achieve. And the question that I shared earlier on was that ask yourself this question: if I don't start over now, how long can I sustain the dysfunction that I see in my life right now?
Sure.
How long can I take on this person abusing me, the company taking advantage of me, whatever environment taking and just harvesting so much out of me? How long can I sustain that for? Because one of the things that you don't want to have is what most people have at the end of their life is regret. And regret is always about the steps that you never took, the chances that you never took. You know, here's the thing about it. Even if you fail, at least from failure, you can learn.
Yeah.
You can learn from failure.
Yeah.
But there's nothing for you to learn from not starting, from not doing the things that you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
So just get yourself in that mindset of understanding, okay, what is it I need to change? Why does it need to change? What is it impacting? And if it doesn't change, how long can whatever it's impacting stand? Who is out there that can be able to help me? Where can I be able to go? You'd be surprised at how many people are willing to help if you say, I need help. The challenge with a lot is that we're very proud.
Yes.
All right. Here's the mistake we make. We're asking for help from the point of pity. This is important. Don't ask for help from the point of pity. Ask for help from the point of power. How? Let me see that you already started with changing what you're telling me that you need help with. Nobody wants to be the first person in a taxi or in a bus. But if it's moving, I can be the first person and it's fine. The moment that you have set up something that you're working towards, you can ask and call for partnership from people, and that's investment, not a pity donation. That's the mistake you're going to make. The second thing is learn to articulate the help that you need, specifically where I need this much money for this particular thing. This is how I'm going to use it. This is the outcome that I'm looking to have. There are too many people who are asking for help, but it's very vague. Somebody asks you for 20,000 rand. What are you going to do for it? Well, I'm going to start a business. What business? Well, I don't know. I'm still thinking about it. Or I'm going to start to arrange oranges, but how much are you going to buy? Where are you going to stand? Who's going to be your clients?
Yeah, who's going to be clients?
There's so much information that is missing. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't want to waste my money with you. You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So it's 40 minutes after 4 o'clock Central African time. Thank you so much for joining us. So how do we get hold of you in terms of contact details on socials? I think it would be lovely to get hold of you there.
On socials, I'm Zwane Talks, at Zwane Talks on TikTok and also on YouTube and on Instagram at Zwane Talks. My website is jabuzwane.com. And I'm also on LinkedIn. If you search for Zwane Mindset Development Institute, then you'll find me.
Okay. Amazing stuff. Thank you so much for joining us today.
It's my pleasure.
You know, radio protocol. Sometimes you want to misbehave a little bit. So I think we've misbehaved a little bit. It is a 16:15 Central African time. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we pay tribute to one of our own who has relocated to the much higher places in the afterlife. All of this coming up after these.